Comic Series Part 5. So let's get started. After the events of Siege, Asgard was left in ruins because of Loki's doing, but still, Thor mourned for him. After fighting the Disir and saving Hel, Thor asked Hela to speak with Loki only for Hela to tell him that her father did not dwell in Hel. In part of his deal to grant a piece of Hel for the dead, Loki had himself written out of the books of Hel, meaning his soul was out there, vulnerable to the Disir. Thor refused to believe it, knowing that his step-brother would have had something else planned. Asgard was rebuilt, and Thor became more melancholic and saddened. Sorrowful, Thor missed his brother who had made him laugh like no other and when they were children. Against everyone's wishes, Thor went looking for Loki and found him in Paris, reborn as a child with no memories of his past or his identity. He was living as a street hustler named Serrer, French for Locke. After chasing the boy down, Thor revealed he was his brother and a god, and that despite Loki's former villainy, Thor couldn't imagine life without him and wanted to bring him home. Though Serrer was reluctant to believe Thor, the boy finally admitted that he couldn't remember anything about his past and that even his name was fake. Crying, Serrer told Thor that he had dreams in which he had done horrible things and that he was scared that those were his memories. Thor suggested that Loki should think of his amnesia as a gift. Convinced, Serrer grabbed Mjolnir and turned back into Loki, though powerless, without his memories, and still a youth. When the World Eaters invaded the Nine Realms, Thor also brought Odin back to life, much to the latter's exasperation, who yelled at Loki, calling him a killer and an abomination responsible for Asgard's fall, scaring the boy away. Thor became angry with his father and calls him a horrible, unlovable man for screaming at a child who was very much the boy Odin had raised. The All-Father, in turn, angrily told Thor that he had everything with both him and Loki dead but that he just couldn't stand the quiet. Meanwhile, Loki had stolen Dr. Solvang's car and was caught by Iron Man. Though the boy tried to apologize, Stark was about to attack him, but Thor told his comrade to stop, admitting that he had indeed brought the god of mischief back and that was all there was to say about his little brother. Even though Loki couldn't remember his past acts and had become a child completely, the Asgardians still hated and despised him, bullying him mercilessly and even attempted to kill him. The only one who protected him was Thor, telling his brother that things would get better and that trust would come along with affection. As a result, Loki came to idolize and deeply love his older brother, doing all he could to help him and trying to become a better person than he was in his previous life. Some time after, Sin lifted a strange hammer in Antarctica and was transformed into Skadi. She then freed the enigmatic serpent, who claimed to be the true All-Father of Asgard. Sensing this, Odin retreated from Midgard. Thor objected and so was beaten into submission by Odin. Odin recreated Asgard as a war world, intending to raise Midgard and defeat the serpent once more. After escaping with Loki's help, Thor was banished back to Midgard, though not before having Mjolnir returned to him, as Odin had taken the hammer from him the moment he was beaten. After a short reunion with the Avengers, he set off to Antarctica, where the serpent had recreated his dread citadel. He confronted the serpent but was sent to New York, where he encountered Null and Angrur, two of the serpent's worthy. He managed to defeat Angrur by impaling his body with Mjolnir. Enraged by the fact that he had to hurt the thing so badly, he attacked Null with intense fury, and after stating that there was no way to defeat his opponent, simply removed Null from the battle by blasting him into the upper atmosphere. He collapsed shortly after. The Avengers carried him to Asgard, where he was healed and given the Odin sword, called Ragnarok 83 to slay the serpent. Arriving in Broxton, he was able to kill the serpent, who took the form of a giant snake, but died as well, fulfilling the prophecy. Thor's corpse was buried in Asgard. As his body burned, a shape was suddenly seen within the fire, and from the flames Tanarus was born, the loud-mouthed, boisterous god of thunder, both new hero and long-time avenger. Welcomed by his teammates, only Loki seemed to notice that Tanarus had not always been around at the same time. Thor's spirit awoke and Donald Blake was separated from him somehow. He found himself on a god ark, facing the god-eating monster Demogorge. Loki was not affected by the spell which changed everybody's memories, and he tried to find a way to resurrect Thor, asking for the Silver Sipha's help and contacting Blake. Taking his cane, he turned it back into Mjolnir, which returned to Thor, and restored everyone's memories of him. He was able to escape from the afterlife and fight for, the now called, Asgardia from an invasion of trolls and to unmask Tanarus as a transformed Ulik. After discovering the corpses of long-lost gods, Thor came into conflict against their killer, Gorr the God Butcher 88. During his quest to stop Gorr from killing every god, Thor found himself in a distant future, where he encountered his older self. With the help of this future self and a past self Gorr had enslaved, Thor managed to stop Gorr from activating a bomb which would have killed every god across every time and space. Not long afterwards, Thor learned that his old love Jane Foster had cancer. He additionally confronted a returning male Kith, who had set out to kill every dark elf who wouldn't follow him. The Odinson found himself pitted against Rahkan in a confrontation which left the city of Broxton in ruins. While the rest of the Asgardians left Earth, Thor remained and moved his entire castle from Asgardia to Broxton so the residents of the town had a place to live.